Revolution. Hi YouTube. Hi everybody. Welcome to the Pillow Revolution. Hi YouTube. Hi everybody. Welcome to the Pillow Revolution. I was just going to talk some about the Charlie Kirk shooter because I kind of got in an argument with someone who I guess really wanted to think of the Charlie Kirk shooter like a Luigi figure. And I just don't think that's the case. I mean, I don't think that the signs point that way, really. Um, I can see, and I don't want to take away people's perspective. I mean, I don't think people should believe in really provably false perspectives. But I can see how that responds to like hope that people have or something, or um, I don't know. I think it's so dangerous because that's what they want. All the different shades of every lie they tell about the situation is trying to make the bad guy to them a leftist or a trans person or something like that. And if it was someone doing basically an act of self-defense, like defending themselves from someone who keeps actively trying to get them killed with their ideology and hate speech, then that would be one thing. But there's no real evidence of that. Or the evidence of that is kind of like something they're trying to twist into evidence of that. And the evidence to me points the completely opposite direction. Or, the first things I really heard about it from people who seem to be paying attention to this stuff were from like content creators on YouTube and stuff, pointing out that this Groper uh, angle, that he's one of these Nick Fuentes followers, and as a Nick Fuentes follower, he's just doing what they do. They're kind of all terrorists, but they're different branches of this terrorist network, and so them fighting against each other, it's not a good thing for us. It's a bad thing for everybody, but it's kind of inevitable. It's kind of unsurprising. I was a little bit shocked because I honestly thought it was just Trump, and I still think it could be just Trump or just Israel, Netanyahu, just Putin. It's what Putin would do. One reason I thought it was so obviously Trump, or reason I thought Trump was such a good, um, such a likely culprit was because Putin would do it, and it's the same, doing the same type of thing Putin would do is right up Trump's alley. Putin would have one of his top supporters murdered in order to send a message to the other supporters. Don't ask about the Epstein files or whatever it was. Don't criticize Israel. So anyway, and I still think that's possible. I mean, we've all been told to believe it's this guy who turned himself in, and maybe it was. I don't know how much evidence they have for that. I feel like if he turned, especially after they're bungling the other arrests of people, if he turned himself in and was just not really the guy, then you'd think they would be kind of in a hurry to tell us that. Instead, they've been in a hurry to shift their story about who's trans in order to try to demonize another trans person. Because first, they had a completely different person, a trans person, picked out to say that they were the shooter. Then, once people have accepted that it's Tyler Robinson, they've decided to call his roommate trans and say that they're lovers. Just all this stuff that they're always going to do, because if they don't have a trans person to blame, they've literally made one up. Um, and they did have a trans person to blame, but no real good reason to blame them. Something about a song they made, which they gave 3 different names in their reporting on it. So it seemed like a big hoax, or like a typical KGB Trump-Putin um, misinformation campaign, because we've seen so many of them. And they do have phases like that. They have phases where, okay, well, if they don't believe our first lie about it, we move to lie B. Lie B kicks in. And so, for instance, there's a transitional lie. There was the lie that Sky Valadez was the shooter, and then it turns out it's Tyler Robinson. And then there was the lie that Sky Valadez was Tyler Robinson's trans name, because they had to blame somebody trans as much as they could. And then there was the lie that Tyler Robinson's roommate is trans. I think even Trump has put that one out there I think I heard somebody say. So it's like this whole network, and the fact that Trump and Netanyahu were both tweeting about Charlie Kirk apparently before he died or as soon as he died or something. Like this whole network, it's obviously orchestrated by Putin because Putin always has this anti-trans agenda. Like that's one of his main talking points and fascist points. And fascists are always been against trans people and gay people and just people, but they start with people who've already been marginalized for various reasons, and try to maximize that, immigrants and stuff. They try to maximize that, and then they move on to like everybody else. And so right now, it's literally just between themselves, and they're still trying to blame other people or find some ways to turn it against other people when it is them against themselves. And they're the ones like attracting all the terrorists, radicalizing all the terrorists, and unleashing all the terrorists upon us. There's no real reason for us to, um, pussyfoot around that or like sugarcoat it or act like this cuts across the political spectrum. I've heard people say, no, it doesn't. Like, tell me who's ever done any type of terrorism from the left? Nobody. Some people might LARP as leftists, like this kind of was, but it wasn't even a good job LARPing. It was like so obviously homophobic because of the, if you're reading this, you're gay, LMAO. I mean, you're writing that on the bullet casing for when you're gonna, you know, you're gonna murder somebody and end your life as you knew it, and you're gonna transition to your new life in jail or executed or whatever, or your new completely different life by writing homophobic stuff on your bullet casings. Like that's somebody who's really into homophobia, not someone who's making a joke. And just like all of his costumes and all this other stuff. So it seems like his Pepe costume, his Trump costume with the green face, the Pepe face, or Groper face. It seems to me like it's super obvious this guy's been one of these Groypers for years and years and years. Maybe he didn't talk to his family that much about it, or maybe most of his beliefs fit in with his family beliefs. You just the one difference it wouldn't be a difference they have because I can't think of Charlie Kirk as being Mormon. Anyway, he accepted Nick Fuentes' anti-Charlie Kirk rhetoric. That's who radicalized him. That's why another real good proof of that this is true is how much Nick Fuentes had to try to disavow it and disclaim. Like if everybody's saying, "Hey, you're probably the one who radicalized this guy and got him to kill Charlie Kirk," then Nick Fuentes has to go on this whole like peace and love kumbaya parade and say, "Oh, it wasn't me." It's like there's a reason why everybody's senses of intuition and being able to figure stuff out these days. Just like I feel like there's a reason why people didn't feel like this guy was really a hero. You have a gut feeling. You know that there was something wrong there. Like my first thought was Trump did it. My first thought was Trump did it because he wanted to start this more violence against from Trump Putiners on Americans. Because he's always trying to do that. Because he's always trying to start the Civil War thing for Putin. He's such an idiot. And the Civil War in America for Putin helps Putin start a World War III. So that's just all Trump helping Putin and just trying to hurt Americans. That's what he does. I think I got rid of all 7 people that were in the life. That was pretty good. Trump trying to hurt Americans. Uh, that's one of the reasons why he would do it. But then also to send a message to his supporters. Look what he did to Charlie Kirk. He'll do it to you. So that's why I think he would probably do it. Then there's just to be like Putin and also to distract from Putin invading Poland and him invading Chicago, which is the largest Polish American community in the United States, where the third most spoken language is Polish, and invading all these other cities. But I did think it was kind of ironic or, too well planned that he'd been talking about attacking Chicago when he finally sent Pam Bondi and Brainworms Kennedy to Chicago to start the attack, basically. Trump attacked literal Poland. And then he still is like downplaying that. And anyway, trying to say, I heard the details of that, but he's claiming, he won't really sanction Russia. He wants to sanction Russia, but he won't do it until all the European countries do it, knowing that Orban can hold out, because Orban's a Putin puppet too. So they're just playing him. They're just, they're just pretending like he's not going to stand up to Putin. There's no way. He never will. Putin's his master. That's why he's here, basically, to make this happen. So it's time to like call that out and stop it. But yeah, I think that's the main reason that Trump's motivation, or it works to Trump's ends. Of course, it fits Trump's agenda to try to demonize trans people and all this other stuff. To have killed Charlie Kirk himself. But no, of course he set the conditions for it. Trump did have dinner with Kanye West and Nick Fuentes, and he did set the conditions for it by having Nick Fuentes basically, calling for this for years. So anyway, it's the ultimate result. Mike Olo to Burn says 95 says, "Are you an idiot?" No, I was just explaining why the MAGA on MAGA crime. Like, let's make sure that we're talking about the same thing. The Nick Fuentes, Trump, and Putin guy, Tyler Robinson, who shot the Charlie Kirk, Trump, and Putin guy. Charlie Kirk. Are we talking about the same thing? Anyway, so I think that, assuming that he did it acting on his own, or acting really just under the um, direction of Nick Fuentes, or under the influence of Nick Fuentes, the idea that he did it on his own is, um, you know, believable. Like, I'm not, the guy obviously had plenty of experience with guns and all this stuff. Um, but him doing it on his own is still Trump's fault. Trump still set the conditions for this to happen. And I'm not whining about it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, don't go blaming leftists. Don't go blaming Americans. Blame your fellow Trumpootineers and blame Trump and blame Putin for setting all this stuff up to begin with. And don't go civil warring or anything like that. Like, it's stupid. Stupid to do that. Even think about doing that over Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes. And at least before you do that, say which side you're on between Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk. Like, between the two of them, who are you actually for? I know there's no between Putin and Trump. You're for Putin and Trump. And you can't see how Putin and Trump are on Nick Fuentes' side and Putin and Trump are on Charlie Kirk's side. And that just means when it breaks down to it at these, lower levels of this fractured terrorist network they run, where you are, where the lowly people are, they don't care about you. They didn't care about Charlie Kirk. And did you see Trump's response when they asked him about Charlie Kirk? They're like, "How are you holding up with Charlie Kirk?" He's like, "The Rose Garden's doing great." Like, he blew it off like nothing after all his state funeral and flags at half-mast and sending J.D. Vance away from the 9/11 memorial to meet the Charlie Kirk corpse. Like, after all that, I mean, I understand maybe he's demented or like he can't think or something. But like, still, you would think that after putting all that effort into making Charlie Kirk into, something other than the demon he is, that Trump would remember who he'd been spending the last 2.5 days talking about. Like, he had a whole speech prepared for Charlie Kirk the second he died. Trump was the one who broke the news to most people. That's insanely guilty. Like, that's so guilty. That's how in some ways, I can't really believe the Tyler Robinson story. I can believe that somebody in the Groper clan would take credit for something. But I'd also feel like in order for them to let it get this far as making the news and turning all their attention to him, he would at least have a pair of, the shoes and the shirt and stuff like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would have to have some type of evidence that it could be him. Have I don't know, was the weapon recovered or something like that? I don't even remember. I wasn't paying that close attention to that stuff. But I was definitely paying attention to the inscriptions on the bullets, stuff like that, to which to me verified that he's a Groper, that he's a Nick Fuentes follower, who was, so it's MAGA on MAGA crime, or Mormon extremism, Mormon terrorism. And we need to call that out, which is why Church of Judas replaces all patriarchy Christianity. That's one of the other things I like to talk a lot about, but I don't want to segue to it now, unless anybody's interested. But yeah, Jesus set Judas aside to replace all patriarchy, Christianity, and war and Trumpism, and that includes Mormonism. And we can see why right now. But anyway, point being, this MAGA on MAGA crime has got to stop before it spills over to innocent Americans. And then if Americans get involved, making it worse, well, that's the recipe for the civil war that Putin wants to start. We just have to not let that happen. That's really a stupid plan to allow him to pull off. Yes, so has been electing Trump both these times, and all this other stuff are not stopping Trump from taking power both these times. They're stupid plans for us to have let them succeed at. But the next one, this obvious attempt to get us started in some stupid civil war, is really stupid. And for one, if they did start it, the MAGA Trump Putin side will lose really fast. So let's be clear on that. But for two, they don't need to start that. We don't need to do that, you know? Like, I don't know. I get so many people who support Trump in my life, which is disturbing to me. I wish I could get more people that are more American, or at least anti-Trump, whether you're American or not. But I get so many people that support Trump in my life that, like, well, it sucks. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that I figured people would speak up if they would feel so strongly that they want to start a civil war, but they don't feel strongly enough that they would want to speak up about it and, like, contest my ideas, especially in the spirit of Charlie Kirk, who's supposed to be so much about talking and stuff, the the contest of ideas. What does General Underpants say? I have an interesting name, General Underpants. I like that name. Sounds like socialism. Oh no, but you said Trump saving America. No, I don't like it. Because you said Trump saving America. Trump saving America. No, Trump is literally trying to destroy America for Putin. You guys are helping. It's really sad. If you're helping from America, I guess it's even sadder. If you're helping from outside America just because you're a troll and you're, like, trying to act like you're in America, but you're cheering on Trump and you know full and well he's trying to destroy America, that's so boring and complicated. And how do you spend that much energy just to LARP and troll? Like, what a waste of your life. But if you're in America, then it's just really sad that you're like, you think Trump is good. I don't even want to ask why you think Trump is good. Just, you're wrong. He's not good. He's really bad, not just for our country, but for you personally. It's really bad for you. So, you've come to the right place, though, because I'm in a really good mood. I'm really calm and chill right now, and I can tell you why you should ditch Trump and come back to America. And America will be a lot better with you back on our side against Trump, because Trump's against us. He's not going to turn around and be on America's side anymore. I know he says he is and stuff like that, but he's not. I mean, I know he says he's on America's side. He's not. He's on Putin's side. Okay, tell me, at least half of America thinks Trump's done a whole lot of stuff to hurt America. Probably more than that by now. At least half of us feel like he's really hurting the country. And you might think that we're wrong or something, but what has he done to hurt Putin or to stop Putin? Like, there's no debate on whether or not most of you guys cheer on the fact that he helps Putin. Like, he's always trying to help Putin. It seems real obvious to me. He's a traitor, so you don't want to be a traitor. It's like, come on. Your grandparents would tell you, don't be a traitor. America, come on. Come back to us. Anyway, I'm in a good mood, but okay, what does Dixie Rex say? He literally just asked NATO to stop buying Russian oil. I mean, no, that's respectable. Look, I'll give you credit for that. When you say he asked NATO to stop buying Russian oil, he didn't put harsher sanctions on them. No, he said he would put harsher sanctions on them if all the European countries did, to pressure them to do it. The problem with that is Orban is a Putin puppet, just like Trump is. So if he knows Orban's not going to do it, gets back to the Democrats and the Epstein files, right? All the Democrats just voted to release the Epstein files, right? And all the Republicans voted to keep it in. So if all the Republicans were in the Epstein files and none of the Democrats were in the Epstein files, then that would make a lot of sense because they voted for their own interests, right? To keep their being in the Epstein files secret, right? But all the Republicans don't. But that doesn't mean they're all in the Epstein files just because they voted to keep them secret. It just means they're all on Trump's team. And just because all the Democrats voted to release the Epstein files doesn't mean that some of them aren't in the Epstein files. They probably can calculate and know. Lisa Murkowski probably promised them, you know, that even though it might look like they'll get it done, they wouldn't get it done. So even if there are Democrats in the Epstein files, they could act like they want them released, but they know they're not going to release them because Trump's in the Epstein files more slash. You see what I'm saying? So the reason I brought that up is because Trump knows that somebody on his and Putin's side, Viktor Orban, and Giorgio Merloni or whatever her name is, the Italian one, at least a few of them are Putin puppets. They're not going to go along with that. So he can talk tough. He can say you have to stop buying oil, and then they can just be like, well, we're not going to stop buying oil. You know? Like, he can talk tough, but he's Putin's bitch. He's Putin's slave. Like, I shouldn't have to, I'm not really wanting to talk to people who don't understand that Trump is Putin's slave. I really want to talk to people who do understand that Trump is Putin's slave so we can progress the conversation further. So if any people like that are in comments, I'll get to your comments real soon. Let me see what the people are saying. That looks like somebody's just spamming the comment thing with a bunch of purple stuff. I can't even tell what that is. Is that like a zodiac symbol or something? Or Star of David or something? It's odd. They caught the head of Israel's cybersecurity in a pedophile ring. There's 33 people in here, supposedly, who now know that they caught the head of Israel's cybersecurity. The head of Israel's cybersecurity. They caught him in a pedophile sting operation in Las Vegas. And then they let him go. Yeah, the shooter was a MAGA supporter. You didn't know that, Freehand Tuna? Then they let him go. And now that 32 of you know that, if you don't tell somebody about that, you're letting him go. You're being like a pedophile, just like they are. You're helping Israeli pedophiles. You're helping the Israeli head of cybersecurity, a pedophile, get away. Now that I've told 32 of you this, you're helping him get away if you don't tell somebody about it. Because where have you heard about that besides me? I only heard about it from the comedian Sammy Obeid. So yeah, I'm sorry, Freehand Tuna 82. Yeah, you didn't know that the guy who shot Charlie Kirk was a MAGA guy? He's like more MAGA than Charlie Kirk supporters. He's a Nick Fuentes supporter. He's a Klansman. He's a neo-Nazi. You didn't know that? He's one of you guys. I'm glad glad you came into this live before you did something stupid thinking that he wasn't a MAGA neo-Nazi. Yeah, what does Ghost Samurai 1925 say? Oh, you commented on one of my videos. I appreciate your comment on my video. I mean, I don't like what you said, but I appreciate that you commented on my video. Ghost Samurai 1925 says Chinese military parade versus U.S. lame Trump parade. I haven't seen a recent Chinese military parade before, but I think I've seen some footage of them before. Like North Koreans, oh my God, the way they march, like they march really like their life dependent. I'm not making a joke to say like their life dependent. I'm just saying they march really impressively. And I didn't really see much. I just saw the squeaky wheels clip. That there didn't seem much to see of the Trump parade. I do know that that same day, like 15 million people were protesting against Trump, and about 1,500 people showed up at his parade. So should maybe they recount the 2024 election? Um, just just after everybody's had some time to breathe, maybe recount it and take some time to recount it and recount it county by county. County, count. Recount it, count. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense to everybody in comments? How about this? Automatic citizenship for everyone, ICE contacts. Does that make sense? But yeah, now there's 34 of you in here. The main topic was about how, yeah, it was Nick Fuentes supporter, what do they call it? Groper, Tyler Robinson, who shot, what's his name? Charlie Kirk. I keep wanting to say Ben Shapiro. who shot Charlie Kirk because, well, they've been having this like rivalry, or Nick Fuentes has like been attacking Charlie Kirk for years. And I'm not on either of their side. I'm on the American side, opposite of them, because those guys are fascists. And they call each other fascists just like they call us fascists, because Nick Fuentes thought that because Charlie Kirk wasn't quite as fascist as him, but they call Antifa people way over here fascist, that because Charlie Kirk wasn't quite as fascist as him, he called Charlie Kirk a fascist, even though they're the fascists, we're the anti-fascists. Americans over here are anti-fascists. Where'd I hear this? Clown level. Look, I understand the news media, the mainstream media, and all this stuff are still trying to. We don't understand what the bullet casings meant. I can tell you based on what the bullet casings meant. You understand what they meant, don't you? You're on the internet. Um, but the mainstream media doesn't understand, right? They don't know. They can't figure out what side he's on. They don't know for sure. But like Don Lemon, like just content creators who got kicked off the mainstream media and now are on like YouTube and TikTok and stuff. And all these people have been talking about this Groper side, that he's a follower of Nick Fuentes. I mean, why do you think there's news stories about how Nick Fuentes was like, I disavow all violence, and he wasn't one of us, and all this stuff. They're not asking, you know, Vinny Bag of Donuts, was he one of you? You know, they asked Nick Fuentes, is he one of you? If there's one person they asked, is he one of you? It's Nick Fuentes. And do you know who Nick Fuentes is? He's a Nazi. He's a Trumper. Clown level says, so it's just speculation at this point. No, it's not speculation, dude. I just explained it. Look up the news story. Who did they ask if he's a Groper or not? He's Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes. That's what it is. Like you don't just cognitive dissonance deny it because you're a Nazi, and you also don't you do not see that you're a Nazi. It's crazy. It's not just speculation, clown level. This is what he is. Okay. What do I search? Groper. Groyper. If you look up Groper right now, all they're going to tell you about is Nick Fuentes and Tyler Robinson. The reason everybody's looking up Groper right now is because of Tyler Robinson. In a way, it's a huge publicity. It's a huge coup for Nick Fuentes. Or it's a shift from people who are super Nazi and fascist enough to like Charlie Kirk to being even more Nazi and fascist and liking Nick Fuentes. Like, he's technically further to the right than Charlie Kirk. Kirk, to me, is right enough to be legitimately called a Nazi, just like Trump. But Nick Fuentes is also just like Trump, because Trump's as Nazi as any of them. Trump had dinner with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West. Groyper, Groyper. That's what's his name? Tyler Robinson is. Okay, that's what Nick Fuentes' group is. The Pepe people. The people who use Pepe the Frog profile pictures. And, they've done this for years. They've been since like 9/11. I don't know how long Nick Fuentes has been around, but they've been at this with the Pepe the Frog stuff for a long time. You've seen these types of trolls before, right? He's had this long-standing feud with Charlie Kirk. This guy, shot Charlie Kirk to end the feud, to be done with it or whatever, to show that they're more hardcore or something, or also very likely to try to blame the left in this really lame way. So again, when people try to like fake like they're leftist and then go out and do violence in order to make the left bad, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It doesn't make sheep bad. It's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. You know, you, who would who would even want to make the left look bad? The right. So that's what he is. I mean, he's a right-wing MAGA Trump-Putineer. He donated to Trump. He dressed up like a green Trump for Halloween, which is like the Pepe side of Trump. He dressed up like Pepe for like a Groper. He dressed up like this Pepe Frog character. Like, he's obviously one of these things. Like 7 years ago, he was only 22 years ago. He's only 22 years old, so he's been radicalized since he was 15 years old. Just like there was like a 15-year-old kid in Colorado who killed himself, I think, but also, shot people at his school and terrorized everybody because he was right wing. And then when they told you that he was radicalized online, they didn't tell you who he was radicalized by. Until later, it turns out, yeah, he's radicalized by the right, by Charlie Kirk or the same guy, Nick Fuentes, as far as I know. I mean, not by them. Anybody who's any manosphere, any of those networks is into this Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes bullshit. Okay, what's PsyOps have to say? Hi, so strange comment. You appear to have. Yeah, I probably have a spot on my nose. Okay, thanks. I don't even know where do you mean, but thanks. I mean, that's kind of an interruption. PsyOps. Let's look at PsyOps channel activity. PsyOps channel activity joined 13 years ago and has a subscriber. How interesting. I wonder what people like you are doing on YouTube. I mean, like what you do on YouTube. I know you just wrote that comment, but like, what do you do on YouTube? You just have a YouTube channel and you've never posted any content or anything? Anyway, back to MAGA on MAGA crime, Mormon extremism, Mormon terrorism. So we should stop the Mormon terrorism, right? Everybody agrees we should stop the MAGA on MAGA crime. I watch music video. Okay, cool. Me too. I like music. Check out my band. It's called Foxen. Foxzen. I know this fellow always has something to say. He's not the one to tell you night from day. And now he's in your town. There's going to be a way. Just go through him to get out of the gray. In these days we're all astray. Amazing. In these nights when all the graves are raves. Who's to say it's all a play? We're gazing worlds away as we fly through the waves. I like this girl, she wants me to turn it in. She asked me where all of my life has been. We never met, just felt that look and then I wanted to turn out all that lies within. In these days we're all astray. Amazing. In these nights when all the graves are raves. Who's to say it's all a play? We're gazing worlds away as we fly through the waves. Thanks, that was one of our songs called Worlds Away. You could hear it again on YouTube or I think Spotify too. Anyway, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking out my music. I was just trying to start this stupid civil war that Trump wants to start. And it's like the call's coming from inside the house. You guys are fighting each other right now. So if you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at Trump and stuff. What does PSYOP say? My family survived the Mountain Meadows massacre orchestrated by Brigham Young. I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm glad your family survived it. I'm so sorry that they went through that. I think I know what you're talking about. Though I would give you a listen, I agree with your views. Thank you. That's a beautiful song. Thank you. That's a beautiful story. I'm sorry about your family. I do kind of know what you're talking about when they chase the Mormons out. If you want revenge, I do a Church of Judas. Check out the hashtag Church of Judas. Because it was not so much as revenge, it's like we take their church away. So the Mormon church is one of the churches, all the Christianity churches get taken away. That's a Jesus thing, but they do get taken away from their, they're basically all Antichrist. How would they have done all these terrible things if they weren't Antichrist? So we take all their churches away. Check out the hashtag Church of Judas if you're interested in that. Con Level retracted a message. I saw the message briefly, but I didn't read it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So this is a classic example of how they're going to try to twist the story around and lie about stuff. But let's check out what the lies are straight from Hayden Willett. Hayden Willett has the lies straight from Putin. From Putin's mouth to our ears. And thanks for the compliment on the song, PSYOPs. I'll sing you another song if you want to hear one. But I'm so sorry about your family. Okay. Well, that was weird. It's like my mind did that. Okay. Hayden Willett. This is the latest lies from Putin. His friend came out with a statement saying he was left wing and has been getting into politics heavy in the last few years. What I spread misinfo. That's what you just did. You spread misinfo. Now I know that, you know, Google search is going to bring up a bunch of articles that say similar to what you just said, but they're not true. You guys generate all this stuff. His friend isn't trans. You know, all this stuff you lie about are lies. and you'll never admit their lies. So I don't even know I'm talking to you. But Psyop says, sure, thank you. Yeah, check out Foxen, Foxzen. Limp Strudel says, you guys turn to extreme perversion over your parents' religious views, but this kid has to be diehard conservative because his family's? That doesn't make any sense. No, he's diehard conservative because he's obviously a Groper. Whose side are you on? Nick Fuentes and Trump and Putin? Or are you on Charlie Kirk and Trump and Putin's side? Whose side? Whose side are you on? Limp Strudel says, that's no misinformation. All the Nick Fuentes shit y'all have been talking about isn't true. Why isn't it true? First of all, do you know that Nick Fuentes is a Nazi? Do you know that Charlie Kirk is a Nazi? Which one do you think's more Nazi? Like, everyone agrees that Nick Fuentes is more right wing, they call it. Let's just call it Nazi, okay? Okay, Limp Strudel says, but Trump and Fuentes aren't on the same side according to y'all. No, Fuentes went to dinner with Trump. Trump had dinner with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West. Hayden Willett says, define Nazi. Trump-Utineer. The difference between Trump-Utineers and Nazis is pedophilia. Trump-Utineers are pedophiles. They're Nazis and pedophiles. Probably some Nazis were pedophiles, but I don't think they were all pedophiles. But the Trump-Utineers, all pedophiles. You guys might not have been doing those things to kids yourselves, but since you're protecting a pedophile, you've become a pedophile. And now there's 27 people in here, you might as well know. They busted the head of Israel's cybersecurity in a pedophile sting, and they let him go. And if you don't tell somebody about it, then you just let him go too. That makes you a pedophile. Limp Strudel said, Jesus Christ, did you just say that? Say what? What did I say? All I said was straight up truth. You couldn't handle it? You're brainwashed, what? Hayden Willett says, RN, please. Define Nazi. Limp Strudel, the whole issue is Fuentes being too far right from Trump and Fuentes disliking Trump. Fuentes might have gone off on the I dislike Trump thing now, but being more far right than Trump, will you at least admit that Nick Fuentes is a Nazi? Or if you can at least admit that Nick Fuentes is the one who got, what's his name, Tyler Robinson shot. I mean, got Charlie Kirk shot. If Nick Fuentes is the one who got Charlie Kirk shot, can you admit that that's at least bad? Or are you too Nick Fuentes to criticize? Just whose side are you on? Nick Fuentes and Putin and Trump's? Or Charlie Kirk and Putin and Trump's? Which side are you on? Because they're those other two people, Putin and Trump, are playing you. You're being played. But whose side of those two sides are you on? You guys suck at conspiracy. It's not the conspiracy. It's just the truth. The conspiracy is Trump paid for and orchestrated the killing. It could still be true. They could have this Tyler guy could be the fall guy, and Trump could have paid some other more professional, more skilled marksman to do the killing. Although this guy's probably pretty skilled. Apparently he's had guns since he was 5. Point being, Trump could have paid somebody else. That's a conspiracy. Trump did it because, what's his name? Charlie Kirk asked about the Epstein files for one weekend. And Trump's like, I'm going to make an example of this fool. Make sure nobody else asks me about the Epstein files. That's a conspiracy. I think that might be true still. Not because I'm super into conspiracies. There's one conspiracy. There's oil companies and Putin and Trump and Netanyahu against the rest of us. That's a conspiracy. All the other conspiracies are distractions from that. I mean, like Bigfoot and aliens might be real, but like all the other conspiracies, all the George Soros or whatever, that's all distractions. That's all trying to keep you guys on the side of the wrong guys. Anybody else say anything interesting? Hayden Willett says, that's not what I'd read the definition of Nazi was. Limp Strudel says, you can't keep the train of thought and link together without being hypocrites. Trump Putin your Space Force in the streets flatter than the sheets. Demon Gar says, that Israel guy was caught in my city. In Las Vegas, right? Are you in Las Vegas, Demonger? So, see, look, we have some confirmation of what I'm talking about from the only realistic seeming person in the entire chat. Sorry I didn't see your comment earlier. Hope you're still here. Yeah, you actually have subscribers. You're like a channel that's been on YouTube for a while. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Puffin. Maz Mundy says, 10 times kids go missing during Passover. That I don't know. That sounds like you might be a Klansman. If that's true, that sucks, and that's not a good thing. But if you're a Klansman, that's bad. Oh, 10 times kids. Is that like a Bible joke or something? Like a Bible genocide joke? Psyop said he was the doctor of death. I forgot who we were talking about. Who was the doctor of death? RFK Brainworms Jr.? He wasn't a doctor. Limp Strudel says, dude, you don't see the holes in your little Reddit conspiracy? What holes in the conspiracy? There's 0 holes in the conspiracy. Yeah, tell me what the holes are and I'll address them. But there's no holes in the conspiracy. It's not a Reddit conspiracy. It's what everybody can figure out once they look at the actual information. Revbat says, share my sheet or you a pedo head. No, if you let a pedophile go, somebody, Demongar or Demongar, just said a second ago, that happened in his city. He knows about that from it happening in his city, okay, in Las Vegas. You can look it up. You don't have to just repeat what I said because I said it. You can look it up. Did they catch the head of Israel's cybersecurity, Tom Abramovich? I don't know how to say his name, but did they catch the head of Israel's cybersecurity in a pedo sting in Las Vegas about a week or two ago, and then let him go? Which to me, if you know somebody's a pedophile and then you let him go when you just caught him, that just makes you a pedophile too. And if you guys all heard about it and you don't tell somebody about it, at least make a comment about it to somebody, then it makes you one too. You're trying to protect them. Maz Money says, bro, you're actually brainwashed. No, Trump Putin are brainwashed. Like, we can help you out of that. There's too much hyperbolic thinking in politics, says PsyOps. Maybe. I don't know exactly what that means. Revbat says, did Trump pay off someone to shoot at him? No, I think that's totally possible. But if Tyler Robinson did it and wasn't the person that Trump paid off, then Tyler Robinson did it kind of for Nick Fuentes. Tyler Robinson did it for the internet glory or something. Redbat says you're a moron, but he misspells your. He spells it. I gotta screenshot that because it's so funny. No, I don't. I'm gonna stop that. That's a bad habit. Limp Strudel says, oh, is it? You're so damn lost, man. Your party is fucking done because of the rhetoric like this, and you guys just don't fucking get it. Limp Strudel says, ramblings of a drug-riddled man. Psyop says, I feel bad for Kirk's kids. I'll generously console his wife. His widow. I'll generously console his widow. Maz Mundy says, no, it's literally 10 times more children go missing over Passover week. If that's true, that's interesting. But if it sounds like something that seems weird and like anti-Jewish, which is what reminds me of the Klansmen, which is what reminds me of Trump, which reminds me of Exploring Bug. It's Sunday, go to church. Smug Barbecue says, can you answer the guy who asked you to define a Nazi? You brushed it off and said, well, at least that one is. At least one is. No, everybody who supports Trump is a Nazi. Okay? Nick Fuentes is a Nazi. He praises Hitler and stuff. The Moms for Liberty are Nazis. They sent out, a newsletter with a Hitler quote on it and stuff. Trump's a Nazi because he has concentration camps. Trump's a Nazi because he used Nazi symbols and demonizing his opponents on Facebook. And when we complained to Mark Zuckerberg about it, he took 2 or 3 weeks of hearing all these people complaining about it before he archived it. He wouldn't take it off Facebook, but he would archive it. This was 2016 stuff. And he's he's super racist. He's just a super Nazi. Everything Trump does is super Nazi. And then he whines about being called a Nazi. That's one way He could say something about not being a Nazi, but he doesn't have anything to say because he's a total Nazi. He doesn't define what a Nazi is. See how he doesn't define what a Nazi is? A Nazi is people who have concentration camps try to exterminate or demonize certain groups of people. That's not. How much more Nazi do you need to be a Nazi in your book? What's the most defining thing about Nazis, the German Nazis, to you? It's the concentration camps, right? So if Trump has concentration camps, that's a Nazi thing to do, then he's a Nazi for that. I think that's the most glaring example. And that you people running around trying to deny that he's a Nazi when he's actively having concentration camps right now shows that you're a Nazi. And Smug Barbecue, which sounds like a Nazi, joined 11 years ago and has 37 subscribers. You answer the guy, he's all about getting the definition of a Nazi. You're a Nazi, Smug Barbecue. You know what a Nazi is because when you look in a mirror, you see one. Stop being one. It's disgusting. If you're trying to pretend you act like you know it's bad, I don't have to pretend anything. Okay, you have to pretend you act like you know a Nazi's bad in order to cover up the fact that you're a Nazi. It's ridiculous. I'm not the fake one, I am. Never have. Oh, yeah, I wear my Spider Man shirt. What are you kidding me? Still talking about Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes. Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes there. Except they're not like Spider Man. It's like they're just like losers, you know? They're like losers calling each other. They're both like fake Spider Man. They're both acting like Spider Man, but they're not. I think she's a bit out of your league, no? Nick Fuentes' wife? No, she's disgusting. But I would generously console her. Hayden Willett says, "Are you one?" Not Nick Fuentes' wife. Sorry, they're all the same. Fucking Charlie Kirk's widow. Charlie Kirk's widow. I would console her. I don't think Nick Fuentes has a wife. Have you seen him? He's a troll and a half. Hayden Willett says, and he's a Nazi. Nick Fuentes is a Nazi. Like everybody knows Nick Fuentes is a Nazi. Trump even kind of admits it, but he can't like. Just like fucking what's his name? J.D. Vance called Trump America's Hitler. What do you fucking need? J.D. Vance called him America's Hitler. It was an endorsement. You are one ignorant man who just called over half the U.S. a Nazi. No, you're ignorant, and either half of U.S. is ignorant to the fact that they are Nazis, which is really fucking stupid, or they're proud of it, and but they still have to pretend. You guys still have to pretend, don't you? It's interesting. You're still pretending even now, even though you got your concentration camps running and everything. You're still such scared little bitches that on an online live where nobody can even reach out and do anything to you, you're scared to admit you're Nazis. But you're Nazis. You know you are. Spreading misinformation. Where are his camps? Alligator Auschwitz. All his concentration camps are all over the place. What the fuck? Are you not even in America? You're just trolling along for the fuck? Jake Rowan says, what about the African Americans, Jewish Americans that support him? They're Nazis. What about the Jewish people in Israel being Nazis right now with their Holocaust? They're Nazis. It's the same thing. What about Russia, Putin, doing his Nazi shit in Ukraine, kidnapping 40,000 kids in Ukraine? That's Nazi. You know, he's a fucking Nazi. You got one supposedly Nazi group into Ukraine, like a cell into Ukraine, to be able to say, oh, they're the Nazis. We must exterminate them. You ain't trying to exterminate Nazis here. We got a Nazi in the White House. Putin ain't trying to exterminate him. They're working together, you idiots. What concentration camps? Trump's concentration camps, where he keeps taking people. You guys don't hear about the concentration camps in your news silos? Have you been there or seen them? Hayden Willett says, been to the concentration camps? Dude, what the fuck is your problem? Okay. Did you wear your Spider-Man shirt? Yeah, Exploring Black. I wore my Spider-Man shirt. Bleep Bloop says, you sound like a lunatic. Bleep Bloop is a quote from that Cara Dune character. Check out my content, New Cara Dune. I did New Cara Dune. I have a New Cara Dune series on YouTube. You're not telling me anything, Bleep Bloop. You need to go do some research. Count Doomia says the last thing Charlie Kirk did was lean left. Dude, if you didn't celebrate, okay, the thing about Captain Kirk, the thing about Stephen Miller crying about, he's like, they shot Charlie Kirk. They shot Charlie Kirk. They're gonna pay. They're gonna pay. Stephen Miller was heartbroken. I mean, that might be because Elon Musk stole his wife. But Stephen Miller was heartbroken. He might have just been, I didn't see the beginning of the clip. He might have just been crying ever since Elon Musk stole his wife. But what's his name? Stephen Miller was heartbroken over them killing Charlie Kirk. And dude, I thought, you know, I was being all, dude, when I saw Stephen Miller crying over it, I was so fucking happy. I can't even explain to you how happy I was that he broke his heart, or broke his heartlessness. He's such a fucking Nazi piece of shit. Exploring Bug says, anyway, your opinion doesn't matter. Go to sleep. He's like Rasputin. Rasputin says, go to sleep. I can make you sleep through chat. I make sleep chat. Oh, speaking of which, I'm going to extract the curses from all the Trumputineers in chat, all the Nazis in chat. I'm going to curse Putin with them. I'm going to extract the curses from all the Nazis in chat. I'm gonna curse Trump with him. Last time we did this, look what happened to Charlie Kirk. I'm gonna I'm gonna extract all the curses from the Nazis in chat. I'm gonna curse Netanyahu with them. If you don't want to help again in a few minutes when I do that spell again, you better leave. You're gonna help out more than you ever wanted to. Exploring Bug says your logic is PDF. No, you guys protecting a pedophile is being a pedophile. Anyway, your opinion is better go to sleep. Ian Stewart says, I'm just trying to understand his side. He can't specify a single thing. It's infuriating. Specify what? My side? Dude, everybody on my side is talking consistently and clearly about the same thing. They might talk better than I do about it, but you guys are in my life, so ask me specifically what you're talking about. And I'm probably going to shut it down in about 2 or 3 minutes. But I might come back live again if you want to come back. Maz Mundy says, you clearly don't know what Nazi even means. Yeah, it means Trump-Putineer. Putin's a Nazi, Trump's a Nazi, Netanyahu's a Nazi, Modi's a Nazi, you're a Nazi, Exploring Bug is a Nazi. He's calling everyone Nazi. No, I'm just telling you guys which one's a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. Richard Simmons is not a Nazi. Fred Rogers is not a Nazi. You know, like David Bowie's not a Nazi, I think. Winston Churchill's not a Nazi. Barack Obama is not a Nazi. Barack Hussein Obama is not a Nazi. I'm not too sure about Biden because he didn't arrest Trump when he had a chance. But, you know, certain people aren't a Nazi, and then certain people are. Trump's a Nazi. Exploring Bug is a Nazi. Maz Mundy is a Nazi. Your grandparents are ashamed of you. If you were part of any of the rest of the world, you might be German and you're like proud of your Nazi grandparents. But if you didn't have Nazi grandparents, then your grandparents are fucking ashamed of you. Your dead grandparents, your dead great grandparents are fucking ashamed of you because you're Nazis. That's what Trump Mutineers are. No, Trump Mutineers are Nazis and pedophiles and traitors. You're all Nazis and pedophiles and traitors. You're not less of one of those things than the other. You're all equally Nazis, pedophiles, and traitors. It's really bad. Ectoplasm says you're creepy, lonely guy, sitting in your room, hoping the world commits violence against the people you don't like, because you don't have the spine or a shred of genuine empathy in your neighbor. No, dude. Nick Fuentes' guy shot Charlie Kirk. Putin and Trump and Nick Fuentes' guy shot Charlie Kirk. Putin and Trump's guy. Like, it's you guys. I'm trying to help you out. This guy has no job to lose. Bleep bloop spelled lose with two O's in this case, which is wrong. Like, why are you guys either really stupid Americans or you just don't know English very well because you're not Americans? Exploring Bug says, get a life. Mez Mundi says, repent and find Jesus, you sad, lonely man. Hayden Willett says, most of the people here don't agree with you, LMAO. Yeah, you're not even people, you're Trump Mutineers. Ectoplasm says, reported your dumb channel, you nut job. Ian Stewart says, this man has no soul. The funny thing is he needs Jesus. Charlie's advice would do him well. No, Charlie's burning in hell right now. It's hilarious. Jesus hates Charlie Kirk and you. Hayden Willett says, goes to show just how ignorant you really are. Maz Money says, amen, Ian. Oh, yeah, Jesus also hates you, Maz Money. Let's check out Maz Money's channel activity before we shut the live down. Maz Money joined 11 years ago and has 17 subscribers. No says, what do you think about Charlie Kirk? I think Charlie Kirk was killed by a Nick Fuentes follower. So it's MAGA on MAGA crime. It's Mormon extremism, right? It's Mormon terrorism. What do you guys think about Mormon terrorism? It's been going on too long, right? Everybody hates Charlie Kirk. Why wouldn't people, like, why would you even bring up Charlie Kirk unless you want to make somebody mad? Yeah, laughed at his death. Why wouldn't anyone laugh at his death? Fuck that piece of shit. It's also hilarious. His death is hilarious. Like, he was calling for the deaths of people to protect the 2A that they're never going to use against tyrants anyway, except for they kind of did now, except it was an even more fascist guy doing it. Anyway, Masmundi, Iloil. I guess you're laughed at his death too. It's pretty funny, huh? No says, I don't support Trump, but they have no idea what you're talking about. Bleep Bloop says, obviously, ectoplasm. Just point to your shirt over and over. Because it's freaking a hilarious depiction of Nick Fuentes and what's his name? Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk. Every time you said something reportable, reported. Why are you such Nazis? Nazis report and ban free speech. I'm just doing some free speech up here, entertaining you dipshits. And you want to report me, make sure no one else can hear this because Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. Guess what you are? You're fucking book burning, censoring goddamn Nazis. Praising Charlie Kirk, the patron saint of free speech. You don't know fucking free speech. All he did was hate speech, which isn't free speech anyway. I'm not even doing hate speech. I'm just pointing out that you're Nazis. Shit ain't hard. I don't. Your reports never do anything. Of course, my reports never do anything either. I report you guys sometimes too. Read me one verse from the Bible. He doesn't own one. You're a terrible person. This guy isn't real. Jesus loves everyone. He's AI. You're a bigot with two G's. Michael says I'm a bigot with two G's. Yeah, but he likes to use IGG words a lot. Maz Mundi says he's actually done nothing but watch straight propaganda for 24/7 for the last 10 years. Schadenfreude. Scumbag. Should I be murdered? Man, can I get pregnant? What? You are what's wrong with discourse. You support death of Charlie Kirk for having an opinion. That's a contradiction. You're a deep shit. What do you say that was hate speech? Name one specific thing. Tell me, should I be shot because you think I'm a Nazi? Rest in speech, Charlie Kirk. Are y'all really saying rest in speech? I mean, his words live on, unfortunately. We can always make fun of those. Bleep Bloop says, tell me, should I be shot because I think you think I'm a Nazi? Tell me, should I be shot because you think I'm a Nazi? R.I.P. Charlie, Christ is King. Tell me, should I be shot because you think I'm a Nazi? Oh, by the way, Church of Judas replaces all patriarchy, Christianity, war, and Trumpism. Replaces all your churches. Okay, that's all the comments. Y'all have a good night. Or come back when I come back live in a minute. Please name one thing we both know you can't. Tell me, should I be shocked? You know I'm a Nazi. I forgot what I was supposed to be naming one thing. We talked about the concentration camps. If you don't think concentration camps are Nazi, you're just protecting Nazis because you're a Nazi. Run, boy! Run, boy! Hey, run, boy! Look, I'm removing the curses from all you Nazis. And I'm cursing Trump with them. I'm removing the curses from Net and YouTube. Nazi Net and YouTube, who puts all you Nazis in my channel. And I'm cursing Putin with them. I'm removing the curses from Net and YouTube, Nazi Net and YouTube, putting all you Nazis in my channel. And I'm cursing Trump with them. I'm removing the curses from Net and YouTube, putting all you Nazis in my channel. And I'm cursing Netanyahu with them. They should die if they're Nazis. No one will be missing them. Why are you guys so worried about Nazis being killed? That's pretty telling. You guys telling on yourself pretty strongly here when you're this scared about Nazis being killed. You pretty much know which ones you are. You know what side of World War II you guys were on. And you should be ashamed. Everyone hates you forever for reasons.